Now, this particular topic is something that I'm pretty passionate about because I think it's been something that has really helped TSANet and the organization provide value to a lot of our members. And I realize what it says here on this slide here is inviting all channel partners. We're going to take a little bit broader look at this other than just the channel, but we wanted to bring that up simply because that's one of the things that we've started to do with our members is looking at utilizing TSANet for their channel partners. And we've got some that have been doing that for a while, but it's really a new area that we're exploring right now and looking with a lot of our members to expand. So that's the reason it's on there. But again, what we're going to do is talk about this from a little bit broader perspective. So I expect we'll go in where I want to talk about just general technology partners and how this can be used to bring in your partners, what the benefits are. We'll talk a little bit about custom groups, which is really, I would say to a large extent, what this is all about. And I would also say for most companies, let me tell you, the big takeaway out of this is that it doesn't cost you anything. If you're a basic or a premium member, you can either participate or create these, and there's no cost to you. It's already part of your member benefit. And a lot of companies are using this to their advantage. And I want to give you some examples of that because I think that's probably the best way to do it, is to give you an example of, well, how does this company do it, or how does that company do it? And actually, I'm going to go into the member web and give you a little bit of a tactical view of exactly how it's being used. And we'll open it up for Q&A if we have any. This is the type of thing that the next step in this to create and work on this is to get a hold of TSANet. Because we need, where it's none of it's really complicated, we need to get into some level of detail and talk to you about exactly what your objectives are, how you want to set this up and that kind of thing. So it's really a one-to-one conversation that we can't get into in a webinar, but what this should do is allow you to understand at a high level what we're doing as an organization. And then I think for a lot of the folks that are on this call, it's actually going out to some of your partner managers and talking to them about, hey, you know, you ought to look at doing it this way. This might save you, you know, a lot of time and effort and solve a lot of problems. So let me get into it a little bit here. We're going to, again, we're talking about technology partners in general, about how you can use TSANet to solve collaborative support. And again, we go back to the mission of TSANet being an organization that's there to set up relationships, to set up collaborative relationships for you and your partners, to be able to solve multi-vendor problems. So I've got 3 examples here that companies have used. One of them would be, say you had a particular solution out there that involved just a few companies and you wanted to create a highly streamlined process between all of those companies just to support that specific solution for your customers. And that's an example of what you can do with custom groups and pulling those partners in. In this case, all the partners were already members of TSANet. They were actually able to create this group separate from the big open groups of basic and premium, specific to this particular solution, train everybody, and there's no cost to them or any of the partners involved in it. So this is an example. You'll see I've got a slide later on. This is called a peer group. So you've got the ability, a lot of you are familiar with the concept behind the basic and premium, where it's this big many-to-many relationship. And this is just a scaled down version of that, but then specific to a particular solution that you might want to put out there. Another example is, say you've got a bunch of companies that are creating things on your platform. And that's an example of what VMware is doing and has done for multiple years. They've got hundreds of partners that are out there, and they want to make sure that they've created some type of collaborative relationship with the host so that that is in place, because once you get through the development phase and it's actual solution out there for the customer, how is that going to occur if it needs to occur? So as part of their program, they actually go in and say, we want you to be part of TSANet. We want you to join into our custom group. And we'll talk about how you do that from a custom group perspective and how you can do it from a pricing perspective as well. Very easy and simple to do, and actually can become a benefit to your members. Then the third example I have here, which is very much like actually to some extent like the first and the second, and that is how Microsoft can be using TSANet or is using TSANet to help companies that are getting certified on a particular platform. So they may be going off and integrating things into the platform. They may be creating things on top of it. But again, that collaborative mechanism needs to be in place. So what they're doing is they're saying, before you get certified on our platforms, we want you to have some kind of collaborative relationship with me. And this is another good example of how custom groups can be used in conjunction with open groups. So it used to be that when Microsoft was doing this, they would say, join into basic or premium. Well, a lot of companies didn't want to do that because they didn't need to have a relationship with all these other companies. So what we've done is actually set this up to where you can host these relationships and pull companies in very easily into a simple one-to-one relationship with you. Okay. So how do you extend TSANet into your technology partners? And as I mentioned, we used to do this, and some companies still do, say, well, you need to join basic or premium. And sometimes that's fine. That can be an easy way for you to set up a relationship with them, and all of a sudden they now see the benefit of having a relationship with 100+ other companies. And a lot of companies will then come into the premium TSANet, which will be the 24/7 open group relationship. But what we've done, and this is the key takeaway on this slide right here, is we've done a couple things to help our open group members pull companies in without having to go through a lot of hassle of creating this big customized group and doing all this other stuff that you can do with custom groups, but basically using the basic and the premium TSANet, but creating your own custom group using the elements of that relationship. So a good example of this would be, all right, I've decided, like a lot of companies have, I'm going to use TSANet as my method of engagement. And I've got 6 companies out here that are not part of TSANet, but I don't need to pull them into this custom group that has to do with my program or this really highly strategic group. What you can do is you can go out and create a custom group that is based on the basic and premium TSANet, the same exact elements of that relationship, but it becomes a one-to-one relationship with you instead of them having to join into this big open group of basic or premium. And that then can be followed in. We'll talk about the pricing on that, but it's a really reduced fee. The most that they would pay for the member to pay for that, the company coming in, is $500 a year. So we're talking about a really simple process. A lot of companies will use that. And again, it goes back to, you don't need to go back and create a separate collaborative relationship. You're already a member. Tell that other company to join TSANet into your group. We as TSANet staff will walk them through all the rest, and you're done, right? So it's a pretty simple way for us to do that. Again, if you want to know more about this, get a hold of myself or Paul, and we'll walk you through how you can do that, set this relationship up. A lot of companies already got this. So it is creating a custom group, but it's a little bit different in that you're using the open group concept to do it. Okay, and this is a little bit more kind of a graphical thing. When we started using all these custom groups, it really morphed itself into these 2 areas that I've already talked about. One of them is this peer group, where it could be a simple one-to-one relationship. Maybe the premium TSANet isn't good enough for something that you have with one of your partners. You still don't need to go out and create something on top of that. You can still use TSANet. You can still use the database and the infrastructure, case exchanger if you're using that. You can still use that, pull that company in to a simple one-to-one relationship. And it's very easy. We've already got the legal structure in place and all that to do. And you could also, again, do this in a mini format with a small group of companies. The key here is that typically in a custom group environment, someone is hosting that relationship. So you're defining not only the terms of the relationship, but you're also defining who is a part of that relationship. And then on the right-hand side over here, we've got the partner groups. And this is something, for example, that we talked about how VMware is doing this, where it's a one-to-many relationship from your perspective, from the host perspective, but it's a simple one-to-one relationship from the partner coming in. And again, we've got to the point to where we create landing pages. I'll show you some of the co-marketing stuff that we will do, but we've created landing pages where that partner can go out, sign up into that landing page, and at the end of that process, after they've been approved by the host, boom, they're part of that relationship, already set up, you're ready to go, everybody's notified, very easy and simple to do. Okay, and this is one that I've got some of these relationships have hundreds of companies, and this is partly why our membership is pushing 500 members now, is that a lot of these are what we call limited members that have simple one-to-one relationships with others. Okay, so here's the other thing we do. When you get into some of these custom groups, you might want to go ahead and create what we can do as part of it is create a microsite. And again, I'll give you an example of what that looks like, but there's all sorts of things we can do. And here's what we found out over the last year was that companies came in and said, well, you know, that's pretty cool. I can see how to collaborate with everybody, and I got one place to go to do that. My partners have got one place to go to do that. But what if I've got some information like training information or knowledge articles that I want to share with my partners, or maybe I want them to be able to even post information on my microsite. So what we did was we enhanced this microsite area not only to be specific to your custom group, but then to add this knowledge and training exchange areas, and you'll see what it looks like. And then you can also define who can see that and who can post to that. And then we also had some companies come back and say, well, knowledge and training is okay, but that's not exactly what I want. So we actually customized it to where you can put whatever you want in there. It's a tab to where you can put information in there, or your partners can put information in there, and I'll show you how that works. But, and again, like it says down here at the bottom, you can even go to the point where you can create links for virtual labs and do all sorts of different things like that. So what I want to give you the sense of out of this is that within these custom groups, if you want to go to the extent to do it, and I recommend that you do if it's a custom group that you want to differentiate enough, is you can have your own microsite, define that, customize it, have co-branded materials within that microsite so that it's got a more customized feel for you. Okay, and this is kind of an example of what that looks like. So here is on the left-hand side is that landing page that I was talking about. When a company comes in, they're not an existing member of TSANet, and you want them to join into your particular program. What we can do is create a landing page. They come in, they click on continue, and it just walks them through the process of joining all the way to becoming a member of TSANet, to adding their contact document, to being approved and notified by the host company. So we do that with the landing pages. They're pretty simple to set up. And then we try to co-brand it a little bit so it's more customized to you. It's going to have a tsanet.org domain on it, but what it is something that we can set up, and then you can see on the right-hand side, we want to go in and tout the benefit of TSANet, but also of your program and the fact that this is a benefit of your program. We talk about the pricing here in a bit. What you're going to find out is you can pay for this as a host, and there's lots of advantages to that. And one of them is it can become a member benefit of part of the program. So again, we're here to help you as far as co-branding materials, putting all this together. We've got some pretty good templates that you can then build and change based on what you're trying to do and customize with your particular program. Okay, I want to talk about, and I'm probably going to skip this a little bit because I want to go in and actually show you a microsite that we've created. But again, I think it's worth mentioning again, right? You can have a microsite, and I do recommend a microsite for most custom groups behind this because it gives it a little bit more of a customized feel to your particular group, your hosted group. And again, we can do a lot of things with this as well as just explain what it is. So what we want to do from an engineer support perspective is take them through a very simple process of, you know, here's the link that you go to. When you get there, here's what this is. This is when and how you should use it. click on this tab to collaborate with this company, and it's going to tell you exactly how to do that. So we've got all that in there. It's also becoming a place where you can store some more information. One question that I get, and I would not recommend that you store customer sensitive information. We don't have at TSANet those kind of high level security things that you would have behind a more secure site. Again, we do some security things within TSANet. I'm not saying it's not secure, but it may not meet some of those high level standards for you putting customer sensitive information out there. So I'd recommend that you not particularly do that on a microsite, although you've got the ability to do that. Okay, here's the other thing that I've found. We've worked through a lot of these now within the last couple of years on partner programs, and what we found is that in getting the program from, hey, this is a concept, all the way down to implementation of it, that we need to have a few light bulbs go off, and most of that is with the partner managers. So we've created some custom group spotlights, and you can go out and look at this stuff, but really what we need to do is set up a series of meetings and show them exactly how this works. Even go to the extent, we've done this just a couple of weeks ago with a new member coming in, and set up an example of what that would look like out on our beta site. So they can go in and log in and see exactly what it would look like from their perspective, and then they can internally go in and promote it, and then pull TSANet in to demonstrate it and talk about any details or any questions that they might have. And usually, depending on the scope of the program, that could be a couple, 3 meetings that you want to have. But we can show easily how this can set up, save you a lot of time and money. Again, we're using that legal structure that's already been set up and signed off by hundreds of companies, and we've already got that member web in place. It's just a matter of customizing that to meet whatever your needs are. So again, we can do that, but I invite you to, and Stephanie's going to send this out to everybody that's on the call so that you can see some of the spotlights that we've done. I think you'll find those pretty useful in kind of being able to champion that within your organizations. So this is the pricing piece of it, and again, I want to go back and emphasize that if you're a basic or premium member, this is already included. And what I would like to do is I'd guess right now I've got over 50% of the open group members either participating or creating a custom group relationship like what we've talked about. I really would like to see that climb up to more like 90%. Because it's already part of what you're paying for, and I think in most cases it's something that could really be utilized. So I invite you to look into this a little bit further, think about what you might be able to use this within your company in particular areas, and get a hold of us and let us help you promote this within your company and set them up. We've done this multiple times now, so we really got it down pretty well. For the host member company to create one of these, we have, depending on the scope of it, we have to put a lot of work and effort into it. Then we want to make sure that we're getting the value back out of that. So we have been looking at charging our members a $2,500 fee. A lot of times we've been waiving that fee depending on what you've been doing. So again, that's something I would talk on a one-to-one basis with TSANet about. I bring that up because it actually is written into the pricing policy. So I want to make sure that you understand that it is there. But again, we've also got it waived for global premiums if it's up to 50 or more. And again, I go back and emphasize, if this is a strategic many-to-many group, what we're looking for from a TSANet perspective is not the revenue at it. We're looking to make sure the members are getting something out of it without having to spend a lot of TSANet effort into getting it up and going. So that's the way we've kind of set up the pricing on it. Now, if you've created a group and you're pulling in a non-open group member, so a non-basic or premium member, then they're going to either pay for it or you're going to pay for their membership. And the way that that's done is, if they're paying for it, it's simply $500 a year, and they can pay for it even through the landing page. They can pay for it by credit card. I find that when the host pays for those, it makes the process go a lot quicker in getting those companies implemented, simply because whether it's $1, $500, or $50,000, they still got to go through their accounting process. So even for $500, sometimes that can get delayed. And if the host pays for it, then that process becomes much more streamlined. And what we've done is come up with a sliding scale. I'm not going to get into the details on this call, but basically for $250, if the host pays for it, they can pay for a non-member, non-open group member to come into their relationship. So again, we make it as easy as we can. We incorporate that into your annual dues. We don't even charge you for it until your annual due cycle comes up. So we're not trying to get into a bunch of problems with accounting and that holding up. We've made it pretty easy for you to do that. Okay, we've got just a few minutes left, so I want to, well, here's the process to create the group, is actually get a hold of us. Again, we'll get into all the details about how this is priced out. What we basically do is go in and take one of our standard addendums and work with you on that, incorporate things that you might want into it. Again, it's your relationship, your elements, things like that. Work with you on the co-branded marketing materials, all that kind of stuff we can do for it. So we've gone through it. It takes a little bit of time depending on the scope of what you're doing, or it can take like 0 time. You just tell me I want to create this custom group to pull in a bunch of members that I would normally have in my basic or premium TSANet. I can usually get that done within 24 hours, get that turned around for you. But get a hold of us is the key to that. So what I wanted to show you real quickly was an example of a couple of custom groups. One of those, a many-to-many, I've actually logged in as EMC. And to give you just kind of a flavor of what you could do, this is one that's called MVEC. And what it is actually a group of companies that got together. This is one of those peer groups, so it's a many-to-many group. And what they've done is they've said, if there's a SEV1 ticket opened up on my end and a SEV1 ticket opened up on the company that I'm getting ready to call, I want to put this into a very high-level escalation path. So only certain members within, certain support engineers have access to it. But here's the microsite behind it. You can disregard the there's nothing there. That's because I'm logged in as an administrator. But if I were to, and then I could have training and knowledge tabs up here. I could add stuff into that if I wanted to. If I went to collaborate within that, here's the group of companies that are doing it. And again, because this is a specialized relationship, when it comes to how I would engage this particular company, then what I'm going to do is put in a different process than the basic or premium TSANet members would see. So it's specific to what I want to do with this particular relationship. And you can really do that with all of them. If I go back to another one-to-many group, here is a technology partner program that I've had. And so all these companies have come in. They have a one-to-one relationship with me. I have a one-to-many relationship with them. So what I do internally is I tell all of my engineers that are part of this program, hey, if you need to get a hold of one of our partners, then you can go to this link, you can click on collaborate, and here's all the people, all the partners within that program, and it will tell you how to engage and get a hold of them.